So today, I watched a video from a YouTuber by the name of Hutch, and he is an up-and-comer. He's new to the scene, so I'm sure you'll want to go check him out. But anyway, he was talking about his personal existential crisis in his life, in addition to tips on how he thinks one can effectively combat their own and their respective lives. And so I thought the video was great. I'm not making a response video to argue or anything. I'm just going to supplement it, so to speak, and give my own contention on how I've best handled the existential crisis I've had in my life so far. I'm not as old as Hutch. I haven't gone through as much in life, and so who knows? This may just be the immature ramblings of someone who feels they know much more than they do, and that could very well be the case. So check his video out. But as far as how I handle an existential crisis, this is what I've done in my life. Now, first and foremost, let's break out the Wikipedia, so to speak, and literally, for many of you, I'm sure, and talk about what an existential crisis is. An existential crisis is it's a stage in your life where you question everything and you really just don't understand what's going on. You don't understand where to find meaning. You look to different things. Your value systems are changing and you don't know why. And you just search for answers. No matter how hard you try, it seems as though you can't get anything tangible and everything just slips through your fingers. And anytime you really grab onto something and just feel that it's right, you just look into it more and then you realize that's false too, and you feel even more hopeless than the initial feeling. And so essentially, there are a lot of ways to combat this. A lot of people fill their lives with, the thought that they can have objective meaning. But the way I handle it is I am an existential nihilist. And essentially what that means is that life is meaningless. I don't believe that life has any intrinsic objective value. Now, obviously, life can have any number of subjective values, and you can implement those at your whim. Now, this could be an awesome subjective value, like I want to go out every day for 3 hours and help homeless people in the inner city, and that is my value system in life, and that is how I gauge my morality. I'm going to do that. That could be great. That's subjective. No, you can do that without anyone telling you or some edict from the heavens floating down and landing on your coffee table. Or it could be a really bad subjective thing where you're saying, I'm going to kill 1,000 children. That's not a way to live your life. But at the same time, I don't have the ability to say that it's right or wrong because I don't really believe in right or wrong. And that just kind of adds to the absurdism of life. It's almost like this idea of existential nihilism, which is very similar to absurdism. I'm not really 100% sure on the little squabbling differences. But it's essentially saying that all religion, all supernatural activity, every attempt to connect ourselves to, a higher supernatural power is an attempt to subvert our natural fears of the unknown and how we're afraid of death and how it's easier for us to assume that there is just this simple objective code for us to follow, and then at the end of life we go onto this paradise, as opposed to living in the really uncertain world that I think is a lot more intellectually honest, where you're saying, I don't know what life holds, I have no idea what I'm doing, but I'm taking it as it comes. I'm not going to expect anything that's out of the ordinary. And a lot of people say, hey, that's really depressing, thinking that you're just going to die and fade away. I'd rather have my objective, religion that I can hold on to and have hope. But, to each their own, I say. If you want to be religious and you're not impacting my life, go hog wild. I don't give a shit. Like, everybody can do their own thing. But for me, it's really it's really satisfying and it's really reassuring. And I know that there are a lot of people out there who feel like this because I've gotten messages from them about this when I made a video about this on my other channel, which has since been deleted because it was just not very active, so don't even go look for it. So essentially, I don't think the world has any meaning. I don't think there's any reason to think that it does. And I think that's comforting because it makes me know that every morning when I wake up, it's my life that I'm living. It's my life. I don't have some overarching authority telling me what to do. And I think that's refreshing. I think it's happy to have mystery left in the universe. It's good to think, I might learn something today that's really profound, not just live your life thinking everything that I need to absolutely know, I know. It's a great way to keep an open mind. As far as what Hutch was talking about, that was just a brief synopsis of what I believe. I apologize if that was rambling. I really just listened to Hutch's video, then hopped on here and did this. So that's what I believe. I think it's refreshing to me to think, everyone else's life is just as meaningless as mine. Not to say that like I take solace in other people's depression or something. I'm just saying that other people, even when I look at Snooki or Paris Hilton or someone who looks like they're having the fantastic, wonderful life, and they likely are, way better than mine will ever be, I can still look at them and say, you know what, at the end of the day, in a million years, your life will be no more meaningful than mine will be. That's refreshing to me in a little weird, macabre way. But who knows? Some people like that. As far as what Hutch was saying about self-diagnosis and Facebook and Google and all that, Don't so much agree with like the don't Google things, but take everything with a grain of salt. Don't get on WebMD and think that you have paranoid schizophrenia just because you had a headache and you thought you heard your mom call you from the other room. There's no reason to do that. I think a lot of that comes from the fact that our society treats victims like heroes, despite the fact that the victims have done nothing more than be afflicted with some terrible disorder or disease. The same thing with suicide. When someone commits suicide in this country, everybody leaps to them and says, "Oh, they're a hero," and they give them they laud them with praise and say how brave they were, and that's just really not true. And so it's already really appeasing in our society to try and niche out and find a way that we are kind of defective so we can milk that victimhood. And so that's my little hypothesis as to why people are so desperate to find something wrong with their psyche. And as far as Facebook goes, this is what comforts me, and it's a lot like thinking if you're a comedian or something, you're supposed to picture everybody in the audience in their underwear or something. It's kind of like that. And just like Hutch said, everybody on Facebook pretends like they're at a party all the time and you're not invited, because when you do something on Facebook, that's supposed to be a front. You're letting people see what they want to see. Similarly, I've never uploaded a video to my YouTube channel where like right after something really emotional happened in my life and I was like openly weeping and freaking out and like throwing stuff around my apartment or something. Not to say that happens more than a few times a week, but I never do that on my channel, But if I did do that, you guys would clearly see that I'm just another human being. I'm not this person that you perceive me to be who has, you suspect less problems than you in their life. And so what I like to think is like, if Miss Big Tits Polly Popular, like everybody has that girl on their Facebook friends list, if like she just put in her status update like, "Lol, just took a fat shit and clogged the toilet and shit's all over the floor and it's spewing out all over my in-laws' house, lol." It's like, that's what life would be like if people really tweeted every significant event in their life on Facebook, good and bad. But you don't get the bad, you only get the good. And so don't allow yourself to be deluded into thinking that other people are experiencing this wonderful, Hollywood-esque lifestyle where you're living in a gutter, because it's simply not true. Anywho, that's all I have to say about this. Hope you guys enjoyed it. A lot of rambling stuff in this video. It went a little bit longer than I suspected, but that's okay. I'm sure you won't mind. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like. Check out Hutch's video. I enjoyed it, and I think that he expressed his ideas a lot more cogently than I did. So check it out, and I love you.